Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Talking Tongue, the weekly quarantine show where I get to talk to my friends near and far to talk about the movies of the world, the TV shows of the world, the books of the world. We've never done books before, but maybe one day. I don't like to read. I'm not a reader. I do graphic novels. I've listened to audiobooks in the last little bit. Love that. But you know what? We are the audiobook that you should be listening to. The podcast audiobook, the only book that matters. I have a really exciting guest today. I totally admire this person. We've met, I guess, this person, we've only really seen each other twice ever in person, which is actually really crazy to think about because it feels like once we met each other, there was this friendship that was forged and bonded. And it was just so great. Okay, enough build up. Let's just get them in here. Cassie Pyatt, everyone. She's here.
Hi, thank you, Tang, so much for having me on the show today. I'm pumped to be here.
I'm so pumped to have you. And I mean it. I totally admire you. I remember when we first met at improv camp.
That's
right.
It
was just like firing on all cylinders. And I'm like, man, she's so cool. How is she so cool?
Right back at you. We had like so many laughs that day. Like I remember hanging out with you guys and I was like, oh my God, we were like instantly friends. And I was like, I cannot wait till after this camp and we get to hang out even virtually, but it's great. It's been so
true.
So
it's true. And you're the only person at camp, improv camp, by the way, which is amazing. I miss that so much.
You have to go. Yes.
Whenever that happens again, I can't wait. But Cassie was the only one who brought a ukulele and it was a game changer. You need a ukulele at camp.
You do.
Guitar, too big. Ukulele, much more manageable, travel size. Yeah. It was, I also remember that we stayed up like every single night of camp was like 4 a.m. or like something ridiculous. It's like, all right, stay up till 4 a.m, get really, I don't know, silly, and then wake up 2 hours later. Cassie, some people don't know who you are. You've never actually stepped foot on one of these shows in the Pod Cavern before. So this is an exciting new venture for yourself, for us to just have you here. But for the people who don't know who you are, tell us who you are.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. I am like a Toronto-based artist, and I work in the entertainment industry. So I am a production manager currently on the series Cornergas Animated. And
that's so freaking cool.
Yeah, it's been, I feel so lucky to be a part of that show. It's like so fun. And all my shows in the past, I worked on children's animation just as a production manager. So it's been very fun. And I'm around in the improv scene and I do illustrations and things like that. So just living my best artist life over here in the T-Dot.
Cassie, you're literally living the dream right now of what, some people move to Toronto or live in Toronto. They're like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it as an artist. And then they don't, which is unfortunate. It's a really competitive world out there, but look at you. You're literally on a throne right now. If people are feeding you grapes as you're doing this podcast, it's crazy.
That's it. Yeah. Don't mind them in the back. Yeah.
That's awesome, Cassie. So I'd love to get a little insight into like that journey to, it must have been, I assume everyone's like any artist's journey to get to where they want to go artistically is hard and difficult. And how did you navigate your way to getting a job like doing that type of stuff?
Yeah, great question. So I actually went to OCAD University in Toronto, and I originally went in for drawing and painting. So by first year, I was kind of doing all of the kind of general get your hands dirty in like wood shop and in interactive materials and things like that. And by second year, you have to choose your major. So I ended up dropping drawing and painting, and I went into integrated media, which was basically all media combined into one. So there was like animation, which was like stop motion, and also computer generated animation, and then also editing and music. And then I kind of always wanted to make sketches growing up. So like I was like, I want to be like the next Lonely Island. And so I was
everybody did.
Yeah. I was like, oh, my heroes. So then I ended up doing media, and then from there I ended up kind of my aunt, actually. She was wonderful, and she had a friend who worked at Nelvana, who was, or which is an animation studio in Toronto. So after I graduated, she just kind of put my resume in the pile, and then I got an interview, and I had no idea what the interview was for. So I basically just like brought my whole portfolio, and I was like, so I can draw and I can like film and I can like edit, and I'm like, I can basically, I'm a fast learner, like whatever you got. And I ended up becoming a production coordinator. So it was like more admin stuff, and then I've just kind of been in that position ever since. So and then I got promoted to production manager. But the cool thing about being a coordinator and the manager, just you get to see the whole production from like start to finish, which is really awesome. And you get to be I was on a lot of crews where with such great artists, so I was like working with like people drawing backgrounds, people creating characters, making builds, so they're like basically breaking the characters and like animating them, and got to do a whole bunch of like post stuff, so seeing stuff right from sketches to like fully output shows, which is really really cool. So
Wow, your life is so interesting. And then you also on the side, you know, you're doing all this like artistic professional stuff, but then you're really funny on the side. You're doing improv all around. Well, you were. I guess you were. And you still are to some degree. Yes.
A little bit. Yeah, I've done like maybe a handful of like online shows now. It's like not the same, but it is great in itself. Like it's a whole beast of its own. But yeah, I'm very excited to get back on stage and just kind of vibe off people in real life.
Do you think that will happen this year? Will we be able to get back on stage, make the people laugh?
Oh, it's such a good question. I think if anything, there might be some outdoor summer shows, you know? And
yeah, it's true.
And maybe some indoor stuff by like maybe October, November. Fingers crossed. So cool. How nice would it be?
Whatever theater is open that will let us do a thing. I hung out socially distanced on a patio yesterday with a bunch of improvisers, and it was one of at the Making Box, I should say, and it was the first time we saw each other in person like that in a while, and it was just so weird. And we played like an improv game, sort of like across from each other, and it was like, oh my god, I don't remember how, even though I've been doing it online, I'm like, I don't remember how to do this. I was getting nervous even though there's no real audience. And it was interesting because I feel like a lot of people are going to get this too. I was a sociable guy, but I've become such like a recluse almost a little bit. And like, I can definitely interact with people over the internet, but as soon as we're in person, I forget how to do that. And there was like a little bit of anxiety going on of being like, I can't just leave the room on Zoom like I can in real life, you know, like I don't have that ability. I can't just walk away. But everybody at the same time was acknowledging their own little of anxiety about being like, man, this is weird. How do we talk to each other? And I feel like that's going to happen when we hit the stage too, where maybe I'll be in the middle of a scene. I'll be like, I can't just turn my camera off.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. Imagine you could just like black out. It's like a Black Mirror episode where you could just like go fuzzy for a bit. Yeah. Like, okay, and I'm offline.
Oh, my internet connection. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Just freeze. Yeah.
So are you a little bit, I mean, you're a very sociable person. Are you... What do you feel like when we go back on stage? Do you feel like there's gonna be some of that like kind of energy?
I totally feel you, Tuong. I feel the same vibe. Like I have also been kind of a homebody now, and I'm like really enjoying it, and I'm almost nervous to kind of go back to how things were a bit. Like I feel like it could go two ways. Like right now I'm like, I'm too nervous, but once it actually happens, then I'm like out there all the time, and I'm like, oh, okay, I thought I was going to be nervous, but now I'm like right back into the swing of things. But I currently think I'm going to be a little nervous to like get back on stage and kind of talk to people and see people. And I think you're so right. Like conversation hard, no talk. Yeah.
Small talk is always been the worst.
Yeah, right.
And you know, I feel like you're like, so what have you been up to? And if people say, oh, the same old, I'm like, I don't know what that means anymore. What's your same old?
Yeah, just been in my room with no pants on like work Zooms. Yeah, it's like my life now. Yeah.
I am excited though. I feel like it is one of those situations where maybe our tolerance has to be built up again of like I can go like hard for an hour, make people laugh for like a solid hour, interact for a solid hour, and then I'm just allowed to leave, smoke
Mm-hmm.
bomb, ninja out of there,
Yes.
grappling hook out of the building kind of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, that's great. I feel like maybe I should invest in some smoke bombs because that's a great way to leave now. I feel like we can like totally reinvent ourselves. Like, who do we want to be now in the new world, quote unquote? Like, we can
Yeah.
be whoever we want to be.
So what I always wanted to know about smoke bombs, and this is a
Yeah,
real
I'm ready.
question,
Hmm.
people throw down a smoke bomb and then they're gone. And then how do they know which direction to go in? You know? Like they'll throw down the smoke bomb, but they can't see either.
Yeah, yes. I feel like you have to pre-plan it. You have to like set yourself up to be like, okay, the exit's here. I'm gonna like slowly inch my way to this door.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
But they always make a perfect getaway after a
they
smoke bomb.
do.
And I feel like if I threw down a smoke bomb, I would just like go in the direction of you, Cassie. Like I'm trying to
Yeah,
escape from you, but I would just run into you.
yeah. I like love that I envision us at like SoCap or something, and you
Yeah.
doing it in the back of the theater. So then you have to go through the smoke past everybody, so people just see
Yeah.
you anyways. Yeah,
Excuse me. Excuse
yeah,
me. Sorry, pardon me.
yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Uh,
Cassie, besides all of that, like what are the things, I feel I say this every week, but I truly feel
yeah.
it. Like the vaccines are getting pushed up. There is
Mm-hmm.
slight hope around the corner, even though like every now and then I try to like block my mind from it where it's like, oh, the Delta variant is rising in this region. I'm like, no, stop it.
Yes.
Nope.
Yeah.
I don't want it. I don't want to hear it. I
Mm-hmm.
last time I heard everything was good. Everything's good, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But I truly think with everything being pushed up, we are in brighter times, all things considered. So for yourself, what are the things that are still keeping you going, still making you happy?
I definitely walks. I go out for a lot of walks these days. So I work a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, in my room basically. So like I live, sleep, and do everything in my one room. So I wake up early and I'll make sure that I go for like maybe a 45-minute hour walk, just kind of like soak in the day, and then I'll always play music, like whether it's like Spotify and just kind of like jam out and dance, or I'll play like my ukulele and guitar and just kind of do like creative stuff. I recently started doing collages again. I just found all of these like National Geographic like magazines on the side of the road. So just like
Cool.
cutting and pasting, man. It's so I think
Whoa.
for
Like
me just
scrapbook type stuff?
yeah, or like weird stuff. Like I like there. My last collage was like a drink with like a fish coming out of it and like a strawberry, just like weird, bizarre things that make me happy. um, yeah, I think anything is that just makes me feel creative and just kind of being let loose in my own mind of just doing stuff. And also I like skateboard as well, so
Oh
I
yeah.
just like go for like longboards or skateboard around, which has been super helpful too.
Is it a skateboard or is it a longboard that like there's a difference, right?
You got it. Yeah. So I actually have like a trick deck, so more of like a street, like just a deck to do tricks on. I'm not the best, still learning how to do an ollie. And then I also have a longboard that I like take around town. And also this summer I want to learn how to longboard dance. That's like my new goal
What's
this summer.
that?
Oh
Longboard
my God.
dance?
Longboard dancing. If you have not looked this up, this is what you have to do after this podcast, Tongue, because it's so cool. It's like basically people have these huge longboards and they just listen to music and they like walk on their board and they're like carving and like spinning around, and sometimes you'll jump off your board
Whoa.
and then you jump back on, but people are so smooth. It looks so great. So
That
that's
sounds cool. That reminds
yeah.
me of like the less cool DDR tricks that people used to do at the arcade, Dance Dance Revolution with
Oh,
the bars
yes.
and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Now imagine that on a longboard. You're
That's so
totally
much
right.
cooler.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I remember, like, for me, when I was watching people do Dance Dance Revolution at an arcade and they were doing that, to me, I was like, those people fuck. They're cool.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
They're
Oh my
hot.
God, exactly.
And
Yeah.
then, like, other people would be like, man, what a bunch of nerds. But longboard, I feel like that's just straight up cool. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what you're going for.
That's like my summer goal. Yeah. And
So
do you
would
do
you be
any
having
sports?
like a slushy and dancing at the same time, sunglasses on?
Love that. I mean, I could totally have a slushie in one hand and wear some sunglasses and do the dancing. Maybe there are people that do that have like crazy like boom boxes, and they're just like playing them and like holding them while they're
Damn.
dancing and stuff. Yeah.
That seems dangerous in
Yeah.
Toronto, wouldn't it be?
Yes.
Like, I've driven in Toronto. I can't imagine. I've seen cyclists in Toronto. They are nutso. And you want a
Yeah.
longboard dance on the streets? Cassie.
Yeah.
Oh
You
my
know
God.
what? I would definitely do side streets. There's also like a lot of like rinks. So ice rinks here in the city
Mm,
are like open in the summertime, but it's basically just like the concrete. So there's no ice, and so
hmm.
it's such great smooth concrete to like skate on. And there's also like longboard meetups. So there's groups of people that kind of go to these spaces, and for the evening, everybody will just dance around. Like somebody has like their a big speaker, and just they listen to music, and they'll just like skate around, which is really
That's
cool.
rad.
Yeah, I haven't done that this summer, but I remember going to a few of them last summer, and when I was like first starting to learn how to like dance, and it's amazing what some people can do. Like some people jump off and like will flip their board around and then jump back on. You're like, what? I'm like, I can go from one end to the other and just ride straight. Yeah, it's very
So, what
cool.
is the number one trick you want to learn right now on your longboard? You know, you're going to go to the skate park, I
Yeah,
assume. There's going to be 10-year-olds.
yes,
They're wearing
yeah,
they're going to be with their parents,
right,
whatever. What do you
right.
want to do to like, because listen, I've only played Tony Hawk, the video game. I have a very limited
Yeah,
knowledge.
yeah,
So, I assume you're going to go down the ramp
yeah.
of the skate park, and then people are going to expect you to do something cool. What is it?
Okay, well, first of all, if I can go down a ramp, that is sweet. I haven't even made it to that part yet. I think on my trick board, I can go up a bit, and then I'm like, and then I can go back down. But I would love to do like there's cross steps. So basically, people just kind of put one foot behind the other, and then they'll like go to the front of their board. I can like do the thing where you like can stand at the front of your board and it just like rolls, and then I can like walk back, which is cool. But you could do like cool crisscross moves. So I think that would be my next big journey would be
Wow,
a
that's
cross
cool.
step. Yeah, yeah,
I had a skateboard for a little bit. Back people at home, you may not know this, but I was lent a skateboard. I had to give it back because I wasn't very good, and my friend lent me their second skateboard. And I was like, I'm gonna be a skateboarder. I love Tony Hawk games. Like,
yes,
how hard could it be? Very hard.
so hard.
It
Yeah.
was so hard. And I'm like, oh, are my legs supposed to be tired when I'm skateboarding down the streets? Why are my legs tired? I'm standing on this. Doesn't matter. I was really whiny. And the only trick I can do, I could do an ollie a little bit. But the thing I only wanted to learn was the cool part about skateboarding, which is when you stop and you hit the end of the board and it flips back into your hand.
Yes,
That's all I
yes.
wanted to do. And I wanted to do that. So, like, I was able to do that. And that's the
Good.
only thing I could do.
That's amazing. You know what? That is like kind of hard. Like I've never stopped with like putting my foot back and it being like and scraping against the ground. I usually jump off
Yeah.
or yeah,
That
or
no,
put one
yeah,
foot
that's
down.
what I
Yeah.
did. It had to be stationary. It couldn't be moving for me to kick it up
Yeah.
into my hand.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. I'm not that fancy, Cassie. Like
Yeah.
I literally any tricks on the board doing actual skateboarding. No, 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 no. Has to be stopped.
Yeah.
Ah. All right, let's get into the news of the week, the pop culture news of the week. As you all know, we just go through random pop culture headlines that I find on IGN, and I'm just going to read them to Cassie. So here we go.
Ready.
Cassie, do you know that Pokemon Go, the developers of Pokemon Go, that hit game that everyone was out for that one hot summer, and now people are still playing somehow, those people who made that are also making a Transformers AR game? Uh,
Whoa.
so I don't know anything about it because I just know the headlines, but in theory, would you want to catch Transformers?
Interesting. So it would be exactly like Pokemon Go, but now instead of catching Pokemon, you're catching Transformers?
I don't know if that's the game, but it's the people who made Pokemon Go. And I know that Niantic, I should say that's the company. They made a Harry Potter game called Wizards Unite. They use the same technology as Pokemon Go. And I assume they wanted it to be this huge thing where you walk around and you do wizard shit. But I've
Cool.
never met anyone in my life who's even heard of that game,
Yeah,
yet
never have.
alone played it. I assume they wanted it to be bigger because it's like, whoa, it's Harry Potter. But now they're doing it with Transformers too. And I assume there's still going to be that technology where you have that map and you walk around to do a thing. So what do you want out of a Transformers game like that?
Yeah, like the only thing that I think would be enticing to me is you have to like go collect different pieces to like build something sweet, but I can't imagine like I can't. Maybe I feel like I'd have more fun collecting Pokemon or doing a Harry Potter one than a Transformer one.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
right?
know. I think in my mind, again, I'm just reading the headlines, people. If someone's going to correct me at home and be like, well, Tongue, if you read the article, then you know what this
Yeah.
game is. But fun, that's not the
That's not
show.
fun. Yeah.
In my mind, it'd be so cool if you pointed your camera. Because if you remember in Pokemon Go, one of the coolest things at the beginning was like, it was AR technology. So you point your camera, your real world camera, and on the wall you see like a Pikachu, like in your room. And I was like,
So cool.
that's kind of cool. Now, for me, a cool idea with Transformers is you point it to any piece of technology, like your printer, for example, and then it would transform your printer on your camera into a transformer.
Dude, now that's a game. That's sweet. I would play
Right?
that for sure. Yeah.
And then maybe you like capture your printer or whatever, and then you use it to fight the Decepticons, all those
Sweet.
stuff. You team up with Optimus Prime to take down Megatron.
So cool. Yeah. And then if you could then say if you caught your printer and I caught like my water bottle and then we could combine our
Oh,
creatures
like
to
a
make
Power
one
Rangers.
huge.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Cassie, I have to say, I sincerely doubt that this is the game that they're making.
Well, it should be the next one, I think.
Yeah. Well, if you're
Yeah.
gonna make a Transformers game, like, come on, commit to it. So, with the idea of Pokemon Go,
Yes.
Harry Potter, Transformers, if you had to have another one, there was at one point people made a Minecraft type of game with this too, like where you like walk around. I don't play Minecraft, so I don't know too much about it, but they would walk around and they would build stuff like Minecraft in the real world. That game's shut down now.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you had to have your own idea, Pokemon Go like style, what would it be?
Mm. Oh, like right away I was like, pop-up shops for like chocolate that like doesn't even he's
That's
like that doesn't even make sense. Like I would walk around and then I would like look at a corner with my phone and then a chocolate shop would pop up.
that's wait, and then
And I couldn't even eat the
you
chocolate
couldn't
because
even
it's
eat it afterwards.
virtual. Yeah, yeah. I'd just be like, oh, sweet, that's cool.
You
Like,
would just collect a bunch of different chocolates of the world.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's a good game. Yeah,
And
like
you
you.
don't, that's a great game. You don't get to battle them or they don't have any cool names. It's just like raspberry chocolate, dark
Yes.
chocolate. There's like 10 different chocolates that you collect.
Yeah, no orange flavored. Sorry, but you'd have like a cool box, like maybe a velvet box in the game that you would like put your
Okay.
chocolates
And then you
in.
collect it and that's your boss. Okay, all
Yes,
right,
yeah,
there's a
yeah,
game here.
yeah.
Chocolate Go. That's
Well,
that's something.
tasty.
That's
Yeah,
all right. All right. Well, Niantic, if you're listening, we got ideas. So reach
yeah.
out, please.
Idea guys here.
My next story, there's not a lot this week, but my next story was probably the biggest thing. Well, the biggest thing was there was a big gaming conference that happened. We're going to skip all over that because I'm not sure how much gaming you've been doing, Cassie. Are you a gamer at all?
Not that much, unfortunately. I like me and my roommate. We beat Donkey Kong Wii, like Donkey Kong Country Wii.
Oh, that game's great.
It's so good. It's so good. And so now we're going back to discover or uncover all of the cool hidden levels within each world, which are so hard, like the temple levels. But
Yeah.
great game, so good.
The other one, little Donkey Kong tangent, the other one, Tropical Freeze, that's out on the Nintendo Switch and also the Wii U, it's the sequel to the one that you're playing right now. It's supposed to be
Oh,
even better. So
whoa.
keep your eyes peeled.
Okay, thank you for that.
And I
Yeah,
remember another Donkey Kong tangent,
the
but
best kind of tangent. Yeah.
the best kind. Anyways, there back in the day, Donkey Kong used to be weird. And it's already weird, but it used to be really weird. Used to buy bongos for one of the games. I'm not sure if you ever
What?
heard about this before. Yeah, there was
No.
one game, I forget what it's called. I forgot bongo bonanza. No, that's definitely wrong. Anyways, you had to buy these giant bongos with your game because it's the only way to control Donkey Kong. So to run, you have to go ba 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 to move Donkey
What?
Kong forward. To jump, you have to hit both bongos at the same time. It was wild.
Yeah, that I feel like that seems unnecessary, but amazing.
That's what I mean. Games used to be something back then, not this controller stuff. I want like gimmicks that you buy this plastic accessory one time
Yeah,
and only for
yes.
that game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you don't need a gorilla suit to like play Donkey Kong, but that would also be amazing.
That
Like
would be
just put on
really
a huge, going to play some DK. Yeah.
yeah, that would be awesome. Where was I going? Oh, yes.
Oh,
Anyways,
yeah, gaming.
news. Gaming news
Yes.
that happened. We're going to skip it. We already know what happened. But if people miss this news is probably the funniest news that I've heard all week in pop culture. And
Okay.
it's, Cassie, how much do you know about Batman?
Like I know the movies.
Yeah.
And I'd never read the comics, but like I've watched all of the Batman movies and some of
Okay.
the old school cartoons.
What if I told you that HBO Max had some things to say about Batman this week where there's a bunch of memes on this now. So HBO Max, the series Harley Quinn, they asked the team to delete a scene where Batman is performing oral sex on Catwoman and he's
Oh,
eating
okay.
her out. And it's a
Okay.
whole thing, I guess. I've never seen the actual scene. And that just spun out into a bunch of like HBO was just like, kids watch Batman. Kids don't want to see Batman eat out Catwoman or whatever like that. And it launched all these memes and stuff like that. Val Kilmer got involved. Val Kilmer played Batman back in the day
Right.
as well. And and I want to hear it from like Keaton and Christian Bale and Robin Pattinson. I want like, what's your take on Batman eating pussy? I guess, but anyways, like it was a thing. And what do you think? Batman is not allowed to do that, apparently.
That is hilarious. And I actually have heard some people talking about this week actually, which is so funny. I think let the man have a good time. I mean, also if that's happening, I don't think that's the Batman your kids should be watching. Is it like an X-rated like Batman? Like is
Well,
this
it's
more of
HBO
more of
Max, so I
a
think it's
yeah.
R-rated. Yeah, but
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So I feel like let the guy go to town. Let Catwoman have some fun, you know? Who are
yeah,
we to say?
because like in the comics, and we all know, like limited Batman knowledge or not, we all know Bruce Wayne is a playboy. He's a
Right.
billionaire. We know this is part of his persona.
Mm-hmm.
Surely he's gone down on someone before in his life.
Yeah. And if he hasn't, then Batman, what are you doing,
What are you
man?
doing?
Yeah.
Here's the quote. Here's the
Yeah.
quote,
Okay, I'm
something like
ready.
that. They're like, the main quote is, heroes don't do that, is what,
What?
is what they
Okay.
said. Um, they're like, we need to sell toys and kids don't want to see this. So it's hard to sell a toy if Batman is also going down on someone.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Oh my goodness. Oh, now I'm just thinking of all of the superheroes uh, and their sexual preferences and if they've ever gone down on anywhere like the Hulk.
Oh, I don't want
Y-
the Hulk to go down on anyone. I feel like it'd be
yeah.
a bad time.
Yeah, yeah. Hulk smash. Oh my god, yeah.
Please don't.
Oh,
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting thing, and apparently it's still ongoing. And we had like I see a lot of celebrity tweets, like just being like,
yes.
and showing images, being like, remember this time? Remember when Green Arrow was talking about how good of sex he was with like it with another character like Black Canary or whatever? And like, have you ever seen like this character fuck this person before? I'm like, Jesus Christ, like this is getting like,
Wow.
yeah,
Yes. Okay.
lots of controversy now.
Are people like for it? Like what's the kind of general do you
Oh
have an
yeah,
idea? Like are
the
people like
most
let the
people are
man
for
live?
most
Yeah.
people are for it, and then there's some people who are not for it, and then those people get roasted, which they should be.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely stand on this. Well, first of all, it's a comic, so whatever.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
but also like there's been gritty, like there's different versions of the same characters, right? There's Batman, you got your cheesy Batman, your
Yes.
retro Batman who's like bam kapow whatever, sure, doesn't matter. Then you got your gritty Batman who's like been shown like snapping necks and like doing blood
Right.
stuff, right? Like stabbing people or whatever. You tell me
Mm-hmm.
that Batman doesn't go down on people? Come on.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's so funny the things that people will like or get upset about. You're like, just like if Catwoman and him are like consensual, let's let them live and have a good time, guys.
Right? Right.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, what else do we got for this week? So J.J. Abrams and Showtime are teaming up to make a docu-series about UFOs.
Woo!
What are your thoughts about UFOs?
Uh, they're real. They're with us, Tongue,
Uh-huh.
and I love UFOs. That's amazing.
Do you? Are you
I do.
like deep down on the UFOs something? Like anytime they're like, "Ooh, we got news on UFOs, Area 51, we got images. Do you want to see those
Oh
receipts?"
yeah, I do. I do. I think it's so funny because I love how people are like, do they exist? Are they real? Are they like hoaxes? But I like totally believe in UFOs. I feel like the world or the universe is so big for us to be the only things living in this universe. It's just mind blowing to me to think that.
Yeah, yeah. So would you want to, I was gonna say, would you want to have your own UFO? And of course, the answer would be yes. So let's not go
Mm-hmm.
there. Let's go
Mm-hmm.
with Jeff Bezos. He's going to space right now.
Love this. Yeah.
Him and his brother, and apparently someone else paid a lot of money to go to space with Jeff Bezos, which I'm like, really? You want to go to space with that guy? Like, that seems
Yeah,
like
right. Of all people.
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Would you pay, if you had the money, would you go to space with Jeff Bezos?
I would not do that. I think if I had the money, I would build my own spaceship and be like, "See you later, Jeff."
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like in one way, it's like, I guess it's pretty crazy to that there's someone in the world that can pay enough money to just go to space without having any qualifications to go to space.
I agree. It's mind blowing. Yeah.
But also it's like, I guess that's kind of cool too. I can just buy it's, but at the same time, it's like, is that reckless? Like, that's a lot of money if you fuck it up. Like, what if you press the wrong button?
Right? I totally agree. And it's like crazy now that is it that easy to get to space now? Like we don't even need to go through like NASA or like
Yeah.
any big company like that. You're like, well, I have some like cardboard and some duct tape in the back, so I'm just gonna like put this together and I'm gonna shoot up to space. It's like
Yeah.
kind of it's crazy that maybe space travel in the near future will be like more accessible to people.
Do you want to go to space?
I don't know. I think like it depends like is like a vacation. It's so interesting. It would be like,
Oh,
okay,
it's
for
true.
my week
Yeah.
vacation, I'd be like, float around Earth for a week. And then like maybe it's like a cruise ship, but it's like a big spaceship. So there's like a swimming pool and stuff that you could do like on this thing, just like look out your window. I
Yeah.
think one day I would love to go to space, but I no rush because I think I don't know what I would do. I would just be
I think it'd be
floating
pretty
in it.
cool for like a day.
Yeah,
Like,
right?
it'd be like really cool for like a day. And then you look out and you're like, oh shit, it's just really black out here.
Hmm.
And there's the earth. Sweet. What else can I do? You're stuck in
Yeah,
this
that's
freaking ship this entire time. So
totally.
you wouldn't want to be part of the whole Mars project. You don't want to like relocate on Mars, live there.
Oh my God. Okay, can I also tell you one of my theories? It's like almost like a Planet of the Apes kind of thing. But what if we actually used to live on Mars and because we destroyed Mars, like we're destroying Earth, so then we're gonna fly over to Mars and then we're gonna find like the Empire State Building version like buried in the sand, and that's when we like drop to our knees and we're like, no,
It
we
was
actually
here all
lived.
along.
Yeah, we lived here. I think I would. I don't think I would want to be the first group of people to live on Mars. I'd be like, go settle, like tell me how it is, and then maybe I'll come over. But I'm like digging my time here on Earth. How about you,
Yeah,
Ben? Would you
Earth's
go?
pretty fucking cool, I
Yeah.
guess. I mean, I know we're
Out of
ruining it in many, many ways, but I mean,
yes.
Mars doesn't seem like the place, guys. Like,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
like what's on Mars? Like, I mean, if someone's gonna be like, well, actually, Mars has like whatever minerals and like water
Yeah.
source. Like, I don't know. Don't give me that. Like, does it have as much as Earth? I know our Earth is like we're plunging in taking all its resources, but surely it has more than Mars right now.
Right? Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think if someone said I can be up there for a week, for sure, give it to me as long as
Yes.
it's safe. Sure.
Hmm.
But also, I don't know. I just feel like I'm so not qualified for space travel. My body's not built for it. I wouldn't know what to do. I always think about that episode in Magic School Bus, and this is a really niche thing. I'm not sure if anyone up there is going to know this, but in Magic School Bus, Arnold, the redhead the carrot top kid, he takes off his helmet on Pluto, and he freezes completely, and he gets a nasty cold.
That's it. That's not bad. Yeah.
That's not bad, but
Yeah.
it freaked me out because his whole like head turned into like an icicle like right away in the show.
Right.
Very scary. And then he came home, got a nasty cold. So
Oh, Arnold. Should have stayed home that day,
should have
Arnold.
stayed home.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, Cassie. Something that we did do and stay at home for is watch the movie of the week. And I
Yes.
want you to introduce it for us.
Woo! Okay, my pleasure. So, Tongue, today or this week we got to watch Luca.
Your life is so much cooler than mine. There's a million things you think you can't do. All you need is a chance to try.
Something's fishy with you two.
Luca, 2021's Luca. It's a Pixar movie. Pixar's latest movie. They've been on a string of original movies lately, which is
Mm-hmm.
great. They've done Onward, Soul, now Luca, like three in a row. Because before that was Toy Story 4, and they were like kind of on a sequel train, and I like those sequels just fine, like Incredibles 2 and Toy Story 4. I loved them, but I'm really happy that they're going back to like giving us new ideas.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And this is like a very cool original story, unlike I think anything that they've done before, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah. How about you give the people at home the synopsis of Luca, and maybe we can go through the general beats of the movie.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Luca, it is the main character of the film, and he is a boy who is a sea monster or a sea creature, and he lives under the water in the ocean with his folks. So he has his mom, his dad, and his grandma, and he is a sheep herder, or I guess he herds fish who are like sheep, which is amazing. And he kind of also in a way kind of like Little Mermaid, he's kind of over under living under the water, kind of the simple life,
Mhm.
and he wants to know what life is above the surface. And his mom kind of gets this idea and is like, Luca, you have to stay under the water. You can't, it's not safe for you up above the water. There's poachers out there who want to kill sea creatures like us. So he ends up finding some human objects underwater, and he collects them.
Very Little Mermaid.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Woozits and whatsits and all those things. And he ends up going close to shore, and he meets somebody who is exactly like him. And this character has lived up on water and kind of encourages Luca to come live this life on land.
Yeah. And then we get I'm trying to avoid spoilers for now, but we will spoil things at home for the people at home. We're about to get into it. But yeah, that's the general thing is like Luca does find himself on land, which it turns out these sea creatures, which is really cool, they just automatically turn to humans afterwards. Like they just
I love
morph
that
it.
too.
That's just a cool detail. They don't even explain it in the movie. That's just how things are, which I'm like, rad, cool, keep it
Yeah.
simple. Don't give me like this magical potion or something, or a staff
Yes.
that makes people into humans. Don't need it. Who cares?
Exactly. Like every time at midnight, that's when you're allowed to walk up on land. Yeah.
None of that. None of that. And we get this beautiful and colorful movie that's just, it's set in like this Italian inspired setting in this town. And what I really like about this movie is that it's so, like, we're talking about sea creatures, right? But we're also seeing like some of the most smallest stories in Pixar in a while. Like, it's not a grand adventure we're going on.
Yeah.
It's none of that. There's no world-ending threat. There's no like this, like, I don't know, big bad type of situation. But it's like a really, like, if you boil it down, it's really about like the main like thrust of the movie, or what they're trying to accomplish is they're trying to finish a race to get money to buy like a Vespa, a little scooter thing.
Yeah.
That's it. And there's something about that I'm like, that is so, it's so tiny, but like amazing. It's so refreshing not to see like, yeah, again, the world ending threats, like a robot's taking over, anything like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like very charming and sweet. Yeah. Just this little seaside town and this like one character trying to live a better life or a different life than the life that he's been given. It's, yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of this movie, like, what are the things that stood out to you?
You know what? I love, you're right, the simplicity of like our three main characters and like this like one boy's journey. And I love this idea of sea creatures being able just to kind of like walk on land. And I think it's interesting too that I think being a sea creature would be so cool. So it's funny that he wants to leave that life to go on land, and like him exploring the moreness to life, being like, this is where I belong, and I want to know what it's like to like live in this world, to like, this feels right to me, and I like that a lot about this film.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Yeah.
What I also like is like this movie moves at like a fast clip too. Like it's only an hour and 40 minutes long. That's with credits, I'm pretty sure. So it's just like, it's a nice 90-minute package. And we don't get any fluff in the movie. It's just like go, 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 go. And there's just so much that happens, even though it's a small movie. It's just so lovely. I like it so much.
Yeah, I definitely recommend this movie. It's so cute and it's so fun. Like, I had such a lovely time just like sitting back and just watching this film.
Yeah, so we can get into spoilers now too. Are there moments in the movie that like really stood out to you?
Yeah. Oh, okay. I don't know if we want to jump right to the juicy stuff, Tuong, but
let's do it. People, we're getting into the juicy stuff. If you need to watch the movie first, do it. Come back to this podcast. All right, Cassie, you go.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Okay, I had like a moment in this movie. So basically throughout the movie, nobody knows that the two main characters are sea monsters. And then there's kind of like a reveal where one of the main characters shows himself, and then Luca is like sea creature, like sea monster to his best friend, and then his best friend is like, Luca, like so shocked. I was so shocked because Luca is such a great character, like just this like happy-go-lucky, big-hearted character, and then for him to kind of like turn on his own best friend, and then his best friend goes into the water. I was so shocked and blown away by that part in the movie.
Yeah, it was like quite because you know it's gonna happen. You know he's gonna betray. Like, there has to be conflict between the characters at some point, and it happens, and you're like, oh, you know what I like? Like, this movie is so like wondrous in the perspective of a kid too. Like it's the main characters are three kids, right?
Yeah.
And when you have that, and you have this innocence that is like betrayed in that moment, where it's like, oh, you just betrayed your friend, it really impacts it a little bit more than if they were adults, because like there's something really genuine about the friendships with kids. So when you break it, it's like, oh, you shouldn't have done that, bud.
Yeah, that was of all people, of all things to happen, I was rooting for you, Luca. Now, oh, my heart. Yeah,
I think they have a lot of fun in this movie with well, first of all, the animation. Obviously it's Pixar, we know this. The animation's incredible. Like, it's really, really good. It's quirky too. I like the designs of the characters. Their faces are really cartoonish. It looks like straight out of like a storybook type of thing, like a children's book.
Yeah.
And you know, like, this is not new territory, but when I always like judge animation movies on their quality by how good the water looks and how good nature work looks. And I'm like, that shit's real. It just looks real.
Yes, I totally agree. So I used to work on Paw Patrol back in the day, and water is literally the hardest thing to animate, and it takes so much work to make water look good, and yeah, look real. So I agree with you. As soon as I saw the water in this, I was like, oh, this movie is aces. It's so
Yeah.
good already. Yeah. And there's actually great moments in this film too. Even the transitions of like them being half in water and half out water.
Yes.
Which is also blows my mind. There's a great shot where, is it Roberto? Is that his best friend?
Alberto?
Alberto, yeah.
Yeah.
When they're like swimming and they are creatures underwater, and then they jump up and then they turn into humans and then they go right back in. I like love that scene so much. They did such a great job of that.
Oh my God, because yeah, like the music's going and there's like adventure going on too. It really felt like two boys playing.
Yes.
Like just like having a fun adventure with each other, just going outside, running on the field. But in this case, they're swimming and turning into sea creatures and coming back into humans, like kind of stuff. But it reminded me of that, of just like, oh my God, there's just so much like childlike adventure going on in this moment with each other.
Yeah, and you're so right too. It's like a little Lost Boys, kind of like Peter Pan, like them just kind of living their best life. And you're so right too in the fact that their main goal was just to get money to get a Vespa. And it was like, but I was so on that journey for them. I was like, yeah, you get that Vespa, you win this race to get that money to like explore the world on this one bike, which is so funny and so charming.
It's so cute. Yeah. The transformations when they go from sea creature or not, even the slightest splash, it was a really cool like plot point in the movie. Whenever they were near water, it's like, oh, watch out for that water, Luca, watch out for that water, Alberto, because you're like, you don't want it to touch them, because as soon as it happens they start morphing a little bit. And I just love that little small tension in the movie. But every time the water did hit them, it was just really neat to see them change.
Yeah, like their scales grow, or
their scales grow. You see their faces change completely. Once they change, they would hide from the other main character, Julia, which I guess we can talk about now. What did you think about Julia?
I thought she was lovely, and I liked that she was kind of an underdog and the oddball. And I love that all of these kind of oddball characters like find each other and like help defeat like our villain in this movie. And I thought she was really great. Like she was a strong, independent woman, learning from like had her books, was gonna win a race like all on her own. She seems like a real go-getter. I liked her a lot. She's very cute and quirky. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And she was smart too. She loved learning. She was just she was a very solid character to the trio, really like balanced them all out. A thing I really, really appreciate about this movie is there was no insert love story in this movie. I know they're just kids, but there was just none of that love triangle type of situation going on in the movie. And I think it would have been easy in the early 90s, absolutely, even 2000s, to be like, you know what this movie needs? These kids to fall in love with each other.
You are so right. And I think it is such a great, genuine film in terms of like friendships with kids. Because when you have a best friend, so Alberto and Luca were like best friends, and then Julia came in, and you could kind of see like the jealousy because Luca and Julia were becoming really close. And then Alberto was like, what is happening here? Like, he's my best friend. We're doing this stuff together. And I think that's so real to life as well. Like, just that when you have a new friend come in and sharing your time with friends. And I think they did a really good job of that in this movie. And then also them learning that people go their separate ways, but what we had was really good. And I think they captured that story really well.
Yeah. So one of the things in this movie, so like I would say with all Pixar movies, there's always a message. It's the thing that Pixar movies do the best, I think, is to make this colorful world that is vibrant and well lived in, and it's just good for the whole family. But what makes it stand apart from other animation studios, let's just say Boss Baby. Let's not say Boss Baby. I've never seen it. I just
me neither.
Let's go with like, I don't know, another movie I haven't seen, Secret Life of Pets. I don't know. I'm just thinking of like a movie that like, it's just for kids. But with Pixar movies, it's like, oh, it's for kids and adults, because there's another like underlying theme in the movie that carries it through, that's universal to everything, that makes it accessible for everyone. So like I'll go to like Inside Out, where that movie really explores like your emotions, literally, right?
Yeah.
And Incredibles, like what it means to be a hero. Up, like all these movies have like a theme to it, right? And Luca would you say the theme is like friendship mostly?
Yeah, I think it's friendship and also this idea of growth and change and letting go. Even I think each character had their own arc, like even for the parents who were so, Luca, you cannot go up to the surface. And then them kind of on their own quest trying to find Luca, of them coming up to the surface and trying to like find their son, but then letting him go and being like, okay, you, another spoiler, you can go to school and we trust that you can now have a human life, like you do not have to come back to the sea. So I think there's like so many different types of like growth for each set of characters. So the parents like letting Luca go, live his best human life, the parents also then now looking like they're gonna live on land or like come up a little more because they feel more comfortable, and then Alberto staying with the dad,
Oh,
which I
yeah.
loved. I was like, this is such a great story for him.
It was
And
so nice when like, and just a plot point here, when
yeah.
like Alberto, he goes back to the water because he reveals himself as a sea creature, and then the
Mhm.
dad's like, I'm gonna go look for him. Like
Yeah.
it was just like,
Oh,
oh, that's so nice.
I was so happy about that. I was like, yes, dad. Like, Julia's dad is the best. And I also love that contrast of this huge guy with like a big mustache and big eyebrows so you can't see his eyes. Has like this
Yes.
sweet little tiny, like bubbly Julia. And then also is very sweet and caring and to both of these boys, which I thought was really great.
Yeah. Another theme that I think in this movie is very big is the just acceptance for being different.
Yeah.
And I think there was a lot. I was just reading some stuff after I watched the movie, and one of the things that was popped up is like, it's very vague in this movie. So there's no like you can interpret the acceptance in this movie to be like race if you want it to be like, you know, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter what the color of your skin is, like we all are kind of the same in the inside and we should accept for us for who we are. But another thing that I read about this is this movie parallels the LGBTQ community as well, kind of the same reasoning of just like, hey, we're just people as well, so there's no reason to be afraid of us, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
we may have like different quirks about us, in this case being a sea creature or whatever it is, but at the end of the day, like look how well we get along with each other. At the very end of the movie, everybody's completely fine with sea creatures. In the
Yes.
credit sequence, when there's just like showing images and stuff like that, you see Luca at his school, just like as a drawing, him putting his like hand in water, and the teacher just looking at it. And it's just like, me, like they don't care. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something beautiful to be said about, like, I love that metaphor, you know, just accepting people for who they are is just a great lesson. And that's why I like Pixar movies, is because there's always something to be learned for like the younger generation, and frankly the older generation. They can use a movie like this too.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's such a good point on the reveal of the creatures at the end. I made a note about it too, that they didn't make it a big deal, and I was like shocked about that. So, which I love though. I'm like how basically at the end they're doing this race and they're on their bikes, but it's like raining, and so they both get revealed as like sea creatures, and everybody's like, ah, sea creatures, and the whole town kind of like wants to poach them, but then the dad, back to Julia's great dad, is like, no, wait, and then they all kind of like, he says it's okay, like he's like, I know who these boys are, and then
Yeah.
and everybody's like, oh, okay, and everybody just kind of accepts it like right away. And there was like no tension, like other than for maybe like 5 seconds when
Yeah,
people were
like the other
"Get
guy
'em!"
wanted to do, like the main antagonist, which we'll talk about in a little
Yes.
bit. He wanted to do something about it, but everyone else kind of was like fine about it too. It's so funny,
Yeah.
that moment where it's like, I know who these boys are, and there's like a pause. I turn to my partner Laura, and I'm like, he's just gonna say their names, Luca and Alberto, and then he says it 2 seconds later. I'm like, yeah, but then I realize I'm that annoying person who just like fills in the blanks of
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's just a fascinating thing. And I really hope that, like, you know, I think that's a great lesson for people for acceptance and all that stuff. So like, if that's what you get out of this movie, friendship, acceptance, all that, power to you. Fuck yeah. Like that's what these movies are for, is to learn something. Now, there's something I do disagree with. And there were some people out there, which a minority of people, but when they first saw the trailer, they're like, oh, these boys, they're going to be clearly gay and they're going to clearly have feelings for each other.
Oh,
And
wow.
then some people are like, oh, they're queer baiting with these little boys and all this stuff. And I'm like, really? Like, first of all, like, this is a kids movie and these kids are kids. They don't need to have a love story. Like,
Yes, absolutely.
and I think even if they did have like aspects of, if they were gay or if they're, whatever, it doesn't change the movie. So they don't need any of that in the movie at all. Like it just seems like, and I think a strength of this movie is the restraint from not having any type of love story, because there's the innocence of being a child is such a big part of why I like this movie as well. And kids
Yeah.
don't think about that when they're kids.
They're just like, let's have a good time. Like, you make me feel good and we have fun adventures. And that's all that you need. Like, it doesn't need to be more than that, other than we have a good time when we hang out. So let's keep doing that.
So like the moments of like, there's a moment where Luca and Alberto, they just have their hands on each other's shoulders. And I'm like, those are just best friends. That's what best friends would do. Like, why are you reading into this? Like, they're kids.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that those scenes too, because there's that one where they both had like such a good day together. And I think it's like one of their first days. And they're like looking off into the sunset together. And they like just put their arm around each other, but it feels so genuine, and it doesn't have like that romantic vibe about it. It actually just feels like a great friendship. Like we had a good day today, and like I like hanging out with you, and we're best friends now. And it really felt like that.
I think people just expect like some sort of like to sexualize a lot of things unnecessarily, and they forget that just true genuine friendships can be physical too, in the way just like patting each other on the shoulder or like, hugging each other. There's nothing wrong with hugging your friend or anything like that. It doesn't have to be anything more. So I just thought that was like a fascinating thing of people looking into like trying to find problems where there was never a problem to begin with.
Totally. Yeah. It is funny that people do that without even watching the movie too, but just like jumping to conclusions. But I think the vibe in this movie, and even if it did, there's nothing I feel like wrong with having queer characters at all as your main characters, but you can totally tell that this isn't what this movie is about or what it's trying to show in any way. Yeah.
I like the idea of like the metaphor of the sea creatures representing like queer culture a little bit more than like them having to explain it, because with this metaphor you can morph that to any type of acceptance, right? It doesn't have to be strictly about queer characters. It could be like, even if you're just a weirdo, for example, if you're like a little quirky, or you don't belong inside of a specific, box or anything like that. Like at the end of the day, we're all like community and we should all like care for each other. And that's what I get out of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go into the villain, if you will, of the movie, which is like this kid who's just like this cocky kid that has a Vespa and like the worst mustache. What did you think about him?
Oh, he was such a slime ball. So when he first rode down, I couldn't tell right away if he was gonna be the villain or not. But then immediately, like when he like parked his little scooter, and then his friends or his two minions, I guess, came and were like getting things ready for him, or like bringing a huge sandwich. I was like, oh god, this guy is the worst. He's so slimy. And I like, there's one part where Luca is like, you are a catfish, and then everybody's like, oh shit,
you're a catfish.
His little whiskers, his little gross little whiskers.
He's just such a kid villain, and I just love that, because he's not like terrorizing the streets. He's only really bothering kids. So he's just a bully to kids. Like, adults don't really give a crap about him or anything like that. But yeah, I just liked it. He's just so like energetic too. He moves really fast, and like his butt when he's on the bike.
Oh my god, so laugh. Funny. It's like two little buns, like ooh, ooh, ooh.
Yeah. It's just a lovely thing, and I just keep going back to like the whole race of the movie. It was just for kids. There was no adults that were in it. And one of the challenges, it's like kind of like a triathlon of some sort, where you you do swimming, then you eat pasta as one of
Which I love.
That's such a silly what?
Yeah. And then you have to go
bike down a hill.
Bike? Yeah. Mm-hmm. After you eat pasta, you have to go and ride a bike.
Like, what is that? That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Is there anything else you want to say about this movie at all?
Yeah. Well, I think even about that villain too, he was really funny because it was like him, I feel like, living his prime and also not wanting to grow up, and because it sounded like he was a little too old for the race, and he's like, I'm 16, and then she was like, didn't you say that last year? So it's like this guy who's like, his best time is like in his prime is like his teen years, and he can't like get past that, and he's cool, like he's so full of himself, he's like so inflated, like he inflates himself so much. So it was good to like see the kids being like, it's the end of your terror, like you are like you are the worst, and now all of these kids are free now from your reign of terror. So that was like a really cool thing too. Then all the kids after he was defeated were like, woo, and like so
celebrate.
Happy, like, oh, that's so sweet.
I also really liked when Maya Rudolph's character, and I think it's Jim Gaffigan who was the father.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
They're on land and they're just chucking kids in water as like a game.
Oh my god, so funny. Yeah.
It's just a fun little thing, I think. And it was just like, oh, this is great. Give these characters something to do. And of course, you see Maya Rudolph's character, which, by the way, this is like her second Pixar film within 3 movies. She was also in Onward as well.
Oh, right. Who was she in Onward?
She was like that lion character or whatever, like that the thing that flew.
That's right. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I feel like Maya Rudolph's really just like, she's just everywhere now.
Yeah.
And a lot of animated stuff. And I'm like, yeah, power to her. She's amazing.
Yeah, so funny.
But I thought that was just really fun. And you need to give her an excuse to like give those characters something to do until they discover Luca and discovering, oh, Luca, pretty good at biking up a hill. So it's just, it's cute. I really enjoyed this film. I think it's really great. I think people should definitely watch it. Where would you put this on like you don't have to rank every Pixar film, but where would you put this in the pantheon of Pixar?
It's a good question. I would put this high. So I love Moana is one of my favorite Disney movies, and I could watch that all the time, like just on repeat. But
make way. All right.
I would say I would put this close to the top. I would say it's in one of my top 5.
Wow.
Because I definitely, after watching it, I would go back and watch this film again for sure.
Let me read you like some of the most recent Pixar films, and see where we're at with it, especially with the previous 3. But let's just go with a couple of ones here. So we have Luca, Soul just came out in December, Onward, Toy Story 4, Incredibles 2, Coco, and we'll stop at Finding Dory. Good Dinosaur and Inside Out as well. So I could literally list all of them, but let's just go with there. Like around there, where would you put it? Like, do you think it's better than Soul and Onward? Those just came out recently.
Yeah. It's okay. So I think I would put this one above Onward, even though I loved Onward, but I like how this one is condensed just to a tiny sea town. Like how we were saying, there's the grand adventure is literally like the soapbox race and like trying to be accepted and like be a human on land. I think that I just love the condensedness of the story.
Yeah.
And as much I loved I might even put this above Soul, surprisingly.
Wow.
Even though I love Soul, I love that concept of little souls flying to Earth, but I love the adventures of these characters. So I actually think I would rewatch Luca before I would rewatch Soul.
That's so interesting because I was thinking, and let's just go with those 3 because they're the most recent ones. But because I'm a sucker for Toy Story, so I always
me too.
I think some people are like Toy Story 4, it's whatever. I'm like, are you serious? I fucking love that movie.
It's hilarious.
It made I remember quick tangent, made Laura cry so much at the end of Toy Story 4 when Buzz and Woody just like, they're like, I guess we'll see you when I see you. We spent our whole lives together.
Wow.
See you around, buddy. It's like, you're killing me. But,
yes.
you know, here's another thing about Pixar movies. Not only are they really well told and they have great animation and they always have this message, but I feel like a lot of Pixar movies, it's expected that they're trying to crush you. They're like you're waiting for that moment where they like put their foot on you and they're like, here, feel something, blah, and you're like, oh no, here they'll come the waterworks. Where I found with Luca, it was not like that, which was like refreshing in a way, because I was almost expecting them to be like, okay, when's the part where they're gonna fucking rip my heart out because they're gonna be like, I don't know, give me some crazy message that makes me contemplate the meaning of life, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
Luca's not like that, which was like at the end I was like, huh, that's nice that they didn't do that to me this time. Not to say that I didn't feel anything, because I definitely did. Like there's the ending when Alberto goes to Luca and Luca says, hey, how do I know if you're going to be safe? And then Alberto says, you got me off that island. I am safe. And that line, I'm like, are you kidding me? That's such a heartwarming, like really nice little thing to say to somebody. But it didn't really, and it really like underlined this whole friendship idea and how beautiful like that all is. But there was no like, hey, you know, you're like in Inside Out where they're talking about imaginary friends and they're like, you know, your imaginary friend, well, it's going to disappear one day and you'll never have that ever again. Like, they don't do that to you. Oh my
gosh. Yes. Like, oh my gosh. And Inside Out. No, so sad.
It was sad. Or like in Soul, I think is a beautiful film, but they really make you think about what life is all about.
Yes.
Right. And Luca doesn't do that. So all that to say is that I found it really refreshing. Even Onward, they talk about like what it means to have like a father figure. Right. Very deep stuff, right?
Yes.
Really heavy hitting. Yeah. So anyways, with all that said, I would probably put Luca over Onward, and I would put Soul over Luca, but I might watch Luca over Soul, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I get you. I agree with that, because I think Soul in itself was such a good, a huge, deep, great story. But Luca, I feel, is almost like more bite-sized. Like it's like a fun watch, whereas like Soul, I'm like, okay, get the tissues. We're going deep. Like I need to like reevaluate my life. Where am I at right now? Yeah. Whereas like with Luca, you can like throw it on and have like a nice, like, I know it's gonna like lift me up and feel good to like watch this movie.
You're right. It's that like overwhelming positivity and wonder that you get out of Luca, which I really like. And honestly, perfect timing. It's like the summer right now, and it's like such a good summer movie. And the Soul would be like, you know, if I want a little bit of tears coming down my face, if I want to just like really get inside my head and be like, okay, am I even alive right now?
That's right. Yeah. When you like burrito yourself up into a blanket and you shut the blinds and you're like, let's do this. And that's when you watch Soul.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I would just much rather put on Luca just to just have in the background and be like, yeah. And the music in Luca too. We didn't even talk about that. Like it's really like complementary to what's happening, and there's like some really good scores happening in it too.
Yeah, I agree. And actually I love the idea that it's in a Italian seaside town. I think that's so cool when they like go. I've never really thought about Italy really in that way, and I'm like so happy that they placed it in Italy, where like I think the characters were so great, and it's neat to see that interpretation of like a little seaside town.
Yeah, and we even have an Italian director too doing the movie, which is like that's awesome. That's awesome. First of all, like that's just great. That's so good. But like also, I love how because at first I was like, because Jacob Tremblay is Luca in the movie, and I love Jacob Tremblay's work, and I was like, is he Italian? And then Laura was just like, well, he's a sea creature. He's just trying to do like an Italian like he's trying to match the energy of the Italians of the town. So he doesn't necessarily have to be Italian.
Yeah.
Because there's
yeah.
moments in the movie where they're talking Italian, and at the very end, they're like, "What are you even saying?" He's just like,
Yeah.
"I don't know."
Yeah. He's like, go find out for me. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, that totally makes sense. Like these kids are just pretending to be like
Yes.
fit in, so they don't actually have to be genuinely Italian.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's good. Cassie, how would you rate this movie?
ooh. Well, I think I would give this 8 sea creatures out of 10.
Wow, that's good. I
Yeah.
would give it let's see, 1 dad with a furrowed brow over 3 Silenzio Brunos,
Yeah.
which by the way, I love that.
I love that too. Silenzio Bruno.
We didn't even talk about that, but that's just such a core thing in the movie. Like that comes up a lot in the movie.
It does. Which is cool too. Yeah, it's like a also a great message for like kids or anybody watching to say that to that little voice in your head that brings about doubt or like self-doubt, your confidence, lowers your confidence, just to be like, who is that voice in your head, and say Silenzio Bruno every time it tries to self-sabotage you. I thought that was a great message too.
Oh, and when they get in the fight where they're like, say Silenzio Bruno, it's like, no, it's you who's like he's blaming Alberto for it. He's just like, no, this is
Yes.
me. Like, it's not Bruno. You're doing this to me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, no, they're fighting. Stop
Yeah,
it.
guys, this is not supposed to be happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, fantastic movie once again. And, we won't get another Pixar movie this year. Last year we got 2. And this year we only got 1. The next one we're going to get is something called Turning Red, which is done by Domi Shi. And she did the Bow short. If you
Oh, I
remember
love
the
that
Bow.
short.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
So that short like won a bunch of awards, and it was so good that they just gave her an entire movie to do. And I'm just
So
excited for
cool.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think actually this one, did you ever see the short La Luna?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the same director who directed Luca, directed that short and wrote that short.
Yeah.
And I
That's
went
great.
back to it and I was like, oh, the characters are so similar, so I can definitely see the tie now between the two, which is cool. It's cool to see these directors, writers making shorts that go over so well that they are then like given the opportunity to make huge
agreed.
movies. It's
We
great.
need new perspective too. Like, we got like
Yeah.
an Italian director, and then we'll
Love
have an
that.
Asian director. It's just like, yes, give us all the perspectives out there
Mm-hmm.
because we need it.
Yeah, and I felt like Luca in particular felt like a different story than what we've seen, or a different place. Like it really felt different than all the other ones in terms of like location and the feeling that it left me with. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting like for Moana, for instance, it's like, oh, I know Hawaii and I get the vibe, whereas like this was like a whole new vibe for me, like a whole new experience, which I think was cool in itself, that I like left being like, I've never been to like a little Italian town before, and I liked all the characters, and even how all of the characters were so cartoony, or like that idea with the huge mustaches and like these little little stout men with like big bellies and all of like, it's very cool. I was like, I was really
I also really liked just like that feeling of, everyone's just the whole town was so lively too. You got kids playing soccer like in the middle of like town square, and they got everybody else doing whatever. It's just felt like really, it made me be like, I wish I could just go to Italy right now.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And I'm not gonna go when there's a pandemic.
Yeah. Maybe next
later.
summer. Yeah.
Maybe next summer. Maybe next summer.
Yeah.
And then after that we get Lightyear, which is the Chris Evans will be playing Buzz Lightyear. And like this
cool.
origin, the original Buzz Lightyear story, which I'm like, yes, more Toy Story type things.
Yeah. The spin-offs. Love that. That's great.
It is interesting to me, and this is my last point about the movies in general with Pixar. I think it's such an interesting choice where Disney, for all the movies that they have put out during the pandemic, starting with Onward, have just put these movies out right on Disney Plus, which is like amazing. That's great. I love being able to just turn it on day one, stream it, no money given. And I've paid Premiere Access for movies before. I definitely don't mind doing that, because if I want to see a movie, I'll do it. But it is interesting that the same company, Disney, will make you pay premiere access for their own Disney animated movies. I'm talking about like Raya and the Last Dragon, Cruella, things like that, Mulan. You have to pay the money to see those movies, but still Disney, but Disney Pixar, they just put it out for free.
Interesting. I didn't know that actually.
It's it's so interesting to me because it's like you're owned by the same company, but because it's Pixar, you've always put the Pixar movies out for free, which is amazing. Keep doing that, please. But I wonder what the choice is with that.
Yeah, like the reasoning behind. I wonder if it is, I was going to say pandemic, maybe. They're like, let's like let people have a nice heartfelt movie that they would enjoy, but I feel like they wouldn't do that. Like, but yeah, that's a really good point. I wonder why that is. Have you seen Cruella and Mulan and all those?
I've seen everything but Cruella, which I've heard was good enough.
Okay,
and I'm
cool.
like, all right, I'd see it. I saw Raya and I really loved Raya and the Last Dragon, which I would definitely recommend. Now that's out for, you can just see it. You don't have to pay for it anymore. So yeah, that movie was great. But yeah, I just love, I'm cheap. So,
yeah, me too.
Yeah, I have no problem paying for movies at home. I think that's great. Like I can't wait to go to the movie theaters in some senses, but I'm such a homebody and I love pausing like a movie. Like that's just such like oh, thank you so much. Cause I just like to like eat dinner, like drink a beer, whatever it is. And I have to go to the bathroom. I don't want to hold it. I hate holding it in.
Yeah, I feel you. Do you think you'll go to a theater after this? After when things open up again?
I will go back to a theater because I miss like that vibe, miss those seats, I miss that feeling. Yeah. I've said this on many podcasts pre-pandemic. I hate people at the movie theaters. Like I hate people who text during the movie theaters. I hate people who like have to like just go on Instagram for no reason at the movie theaters. People who talk during the movies. There's so many things I don't like about it anymore, but I miss the feeling.
Yeah, it's true.
If I go to like a smaller theater, like those indie theaters, usually you get better audience for that. Like those people are like the movie culture people, not your like mainstream movie audience type of thing.
Yeah, I feel you. I think it is such a good vibe. Like it's nice to like watch stuff with like a big group of people and be like, and you're all like laughing at the same things, or you're all like scared at the same time. It's like it's nice.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Cassie, this has been such a fantastic conversation. I'm really happy that I got to talk about this movie with you because it's such a positive, bubbly thing, just like you. So, hey, God. Cassie, what do you have to plug for the people at home?
Well, me and my good friend Justin, we actually have a podcast on Pod Cavern called Love Is, and our 4th episode will be coming out this Tuesday, and we are talking soulmates and twin flames and destiny. So if you are into that or want to know more about love and different types of love, come take a listen. Yeah, we have 3 episodes out so far, and it's been really fun so far. So if you want to know about love, come listen to our podcast.
That sounds like a Pixar movie right there.
Yeah.
Destiny, soulmates, all that stuff. What would you name your Pixar movie? You have 3 seconds.
Oh my God. Aliens in Love.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
My favorite things.
I would watch that.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
We could do a review here, like on your podcast of Aliens in Love.
Is it fair that you review your own movie at the end?
But good point. Yeah.
You're like, I don't want to brag, but it's way better than Luca.
Yeah. I put it on like number 1 scale. Luca's like really low now.
And for myself, you can find the rest of the shows in the Pod Cavern at www.podcavern.com. Check out all the shows there. Check out Love Is Pod. It's great. It's fantastic. Check out Ranked. Check out Heroes Don't Do Paperwork. There's so many podcasts in the Pod Cavern. And you should just be part of it. You should just be part of it, everyone.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Well, that's it for us this time around. We'll see you guys on another episode of Talking Tongue. Until then, Cassie has a world famous catchphrase.
Oh, here we go. Tomato, tomato.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.